There's been certain recent discoveries that have come into light. And also, this channel is not completely dead. We've still been live streaming every Sunday night. And, people have been telling me things on the live stream chat where certain people are still talking about me in unfriendly ways, right? That in itself should be very telling. But regarding Shane Hurlbut, there's been some recent discoveries brought to light there as well. If you are unaware of all of this beef, I guess, you'll just have to do your own research on that. However, this did all start from some level of pettiness on my behalf. Because there was a time when Cam Mackey and I were both reviewing the same small rig light. This little 60-watt small rig light. I for whatever reason, Cam commented on my video. And he was like kind of talking shit, He was talking shit a little bit, but he was trying to disguise it, which, these guys are very, very good at how they disguise things, right? But he was trying to disguise his talking shit comment as more of like friendly advice. Because Cam doesn't know me, right? He didn't realize how I would retaliate to that. And that's really what brought all of this on. Right? Like this is what, that was the tipping point for me, right? I just needed one of these guys to push me, right? And that's what happened. So because of that, if you're Brandon Washington or you're Mondo Bites or you're Shane Hurlbut, next time you see good old Cam Mackey, make sure you pat him on the back and thank him for me, stirring up the pot, and so I will admit that was petty of me for that to be the thing, but that's the type of guy I am. I tell everybody this, I've been sober for 13 years. Okay. So when you've been sober for 13 years, you can only imagine like, wow, that dude must have had a crazy life. And I did. But anyways, that's to get everyone caught up here. But there's so many things going on. I feel like I should have one of those whiteboards with all their little mugshots on it and like string going from each thing, because it's just wild to me how all of this shit is connected. I had a big expose on Crater, which is the YouTube marketing team, media management. It's basically like an operation where Mondo and the CEO of Condor Blue are kind of acting as like agents. When I say agent, I mean in terms of like how in my acting career I had an agent or a manager. That's kind of how Crater operates, but it's for influencers, YouTubers, content creators, right? And Cam Mackey is one of their clients, I imagine. If not, he's still very good friends with Mondo. We all know that. But there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are low-key clients of this Crater operation. And there's also them out there that are not low-key about it. When they did the big review of the Blackmagic Pixis 6K, they all went to the top of the mountain. They all did the same kind of video. That was part of something that Crater drummed up, allegedly. That's the way it looks. That's the way it looks like to me, and that's the way it looks like to a lot of other very large camera influencers, people that are way bigger than all of these guys, and have reached out to me and, applauded me for putting my neck out like that and making that video on Crater. And yet these guys won't reshare my stuff on their own platform. This is what I mean, right? I have a problem with all of this. I live my life by a certain code. I have a weird chemical imbalance in my brain that doesn't allow me to be disingenuine. I am 100% unapologetically authentic through and through. It's one of the reasons why my acting career never took off, because I don't believe in having to be something that I'm not to achieve the things that I want. That's really what it boils down to, because people DM me all the time. They're always asking me like, man, why do you care so much how people make their money? Why do you care so much about the label that people put on themselves? And honestly, I don't care how people make their money. That to me is like, if that's what you took out of my whole YouTuber versus filmmaker thing, you think I care about how these guys run their business? I don't. But the label thing, I guess, is where I'm a little on the fence about, because my first knee-jerk reaction is to go, yeah, I don't care what they label themselves either. What the fuck do I care? But then I started thinking about it, I go, no, it kind of does have to do with that, though, because I share the same audience with all of these guys. I have a thing called YouTube Studio And if you had a YouTube channel, you have it too. You know what I'm talking about. There's analytics in there for your channel. And YouTube shows you what channels you share an audience with. I share an audience with all of these guys. And that's where that part of me, my ability to want to be authentic or don't know how to be anything other than authentic, that's where it bothers me. It's like, whoa. If we're sharing the same audience, I can't have people thinking that I don't want anyone for a second to think that I run my shit how all of these yahoos run theirs, right? I've had business owners reach out to me and tell me that these people, they've given me specific names of people, content creators, big camera YouTube influencers have come knocking on their doors in the sense of how Jehovah's Witnesses knock on doors, going door to door, a door-to-door shoe salesman. This is how they've been approached by certain YouTube influencers. I'm not going to name names, but certain people have reached out to these companies saying, yeah, I want to check this out. And then flipping the script on that company and going, it's going to cost you $20,000. Right? These are allegedly things that business owners, why would they lie about this? Business owners have reached out and told me this. And they're sitting there going, why would you came knocking on my door, dude. We have real professional Hollywood industry people using our gear on real sets, movies that you go to AMC to watch. And you think I want to pay a YouTuber $20,000 when these guys can't even deliver on their numbers? Which, by the way, is the word on the street. You know, when I told you that big camera YouTube influencers reached out to me, praising me for doing the hit piece on Crater, which it really wasn't a hit piece. It was just an expose. I was just sharing the world what you could just find out for yourself on the internet. Right? That's another thing. People all act like I'm pulling this stuff out of my ass, like I'm some kind of conspiracy theorist. It's like, dude, if you had any intelligence at all, you can just search around on the internet and find out for yourself. It's not hard to see what Crater actually is. You just have to, open your eyes a little bit, look around a little bit, right? It's all out there for you to see. Anyways, when these specific influencers, bigger guys that thought it was cool that I made the expose on Crater, when they reached out to me, they told me some very interesting things. They told me how Crater is kind of hurting it for these other influencers, right? Because they're charging all this money, allegedly, and they're not being able to deliver the numbers that they promised these companies to. And supposedly, allegedly, it started with the Blackmagic Pixels, right? Now, again, this is all, right? This is all just fucking internet bullshit, people sharing this shit in DMs with me and stuff. So take it with a grain of salt, right? Because I don't know either. These people could be lying to me. They could be just like looking to fuel the fire. But yet, it still was spoken, right? That's all I'm going to say about it, right? Take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's true or not, but these are the things that are being shared with me on almost a daily basis. Like you would be so surprised at the amount of messages that I get, maybe not on a daily basis, but certainly on like a weekly basis of just random people just telling me the craziest shit about a lot of these people. Because I've already named certain names, right? There are certain people that are in this lump of this kind of this group that have formed an alliance with me, right? So there's a certain amount of people, right? And these people that are in this group, and people know the people that I have issues with, it's Brandon Washington, it's Cam Mackey, it's Mondo Bites, it's the entire Crater team for the most part, it's Shane Hurlbut, all of the, Jacob Owens might be in that circle, I don't know what happened to him, but you know what I mean, it's like, and Phillip Bloom got himself involved. Keep in mind, these people got themselves involved. Right? It wasn't like me, like on a rooftop being like, yeah, who am I going to get today? No. These people insert themselves into the conversation. Phillip Bloom came after me on Threads. Benji Heish came after me on Threads, right? These people insert themselves into a conversation that they have nothing to do with, quite frankly. I mean, Mondo is a prime example of that, right? Mondo, while he's at the Sony condo, right? He's supposed to be enjoying his time with other content creators. He's at the fucking Sony condo in like some other foreign land, right? And what does he decide to do? He decides to make a video in the backyard of the fucking Sony condo about the YouTuber versus filmmaker audience fucking 8 months after I put my video out. Let me remind you, Mondo had nothing to do with that conversation. I would never identify someone like Mondo as a filmmaker. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't, right? I've never been that impressed by anything he's done, right? I'm just being real with you. But instead, because his clients were part of that conversation, he decided to insert himself into the conversation. Mind you, my expose on his Crater company was already out. He didn't mention that 1 second, because that's actually my beef with him. He's not even part of the YouTuber versus filmmaker conversation, but yet he wants to insert himself into that conversation. And then he pulled the other poor guy into it too, making the other guy talk about it. It's like, bro, what are you guys doing with your lives? You're at the Sodi condo, and you're talking about shit that I was talking about 10 fucking months ago? This is what I'm saying. It is very telling to me that these guys were deeply offended by what I was saying. Why would that be? Why would you be so offended by me simply shining a light on the reality of how you run your business? Why would that offend you so bad? To the point where Shane Horobitz's team, the Filmmaker Academy channel, commented on my video, defending Shane Horobit, basically trying to pass him off as a philanthropist, which is fine. And also saying that, just so you know, Shane has worked on more than just, quote, the occasional Netflix movie, unquote. Hit a soft spot there, right? I was literally just praising the man for building the empire that he built with the Filmmakers Academy. I was praising the man for for still having the opportunity to work on the occasional Netflix movie. I wasn't saying those as a dig, but they took it as a dig, right? My question is, how do you survive this long in the film industry when your backbone is that tiny? It's baffling to me, right? But this is how you have to have a weak backbone to kind of thrive in an environment where you don't have a personality or charisma to back up your talent. Whereas Shane does have quite a bit of charisma, I will give him that. However, being a performer and a director myself and being a member of SAG since 2010, 2011, Shane to me doesn't have authentic charisma. It's more of like shoe salesman charisma. Well, that makes sense, because all of his videos on the Filmmaker Academy channel are commercials for the Filmmaker Academy. And that's what I responded to their comment about, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure they now have deleted. Again, backbone. Right? So I say, okay, that's fine. You want to call yourself a philanthropist, even though I don't believe that. Right? I'm pretty sure he lives in the same neighborhood as the Kardashians, but it's fine. Call yourself a philanthropist. But my question for them is, why does your channel, the Filmmaker Academy YouTube channel, which, by the way, at the time, every video on there was one big commercial for their school. At the end of the video, you find out, oh, it's actually just a commercial to reroute people to the Filmmaker Academy website and buy those courses, buy those classes. So if your entire channel is one huge ad, essentially, then why then do you put ads on those videos that are already an ad? It's an ad on top of an ad. In the comedy world, it's called a hat upon a hat. You don't do it. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Nobody wears a hat on top of a hat. Although I have seen people in the street, and I've taken photos of them when they do that, because it's funny. It's funny looking. But that kid was a college kid. College kids wear hats on top of a hat, not grown-ass men selling courses on filmmaking. Right? They never responded to that, by the way. Instead, I'm pretty sure they deleted their comment altogether. But you know, there's a lot of... I'm not the only one to have these issues with Shane Horobit. These are things I've found on the internet about him. Look, these are very serious allegations, right? So I'm not, I'm not saying these are real. I'm not saying these are true. These are just things that you can find on the internet yourself as well. There are more than one other person out there that have taken issue with the way Shane Horobit runs his stuff and does his business. There's serious allegations about him, the type of person he is. Look, I'm not even going to read these things on the screen, right? You understand what I'm saying? You have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. This is just internet bullshit, right? All I can share with you is my own experience. And in my experience, these are things that I have seen on the internet. And I go, oh, yeah, I guess I'm not the only one that has noticed weird things about this person. The way his people came for me, whether that was him or his people or his wife or whoever runs the Filmmaker Academy channel, for whatever reason, right? Like that, they decided we don't want to leave that cookie crumb behind, right? So that's why they took the comment down. The weird thing is I want to remind you all that at one time, for about a year, maybe longer than a year, the company Cordbag was a partner of this show, was a sponsor of this show, and they were for a good amount of time. And then around this time, they disappeared, during the whole, all the videos were being put out, between Cam and I, and Cordbag disappeared. And I kind of knew, I was like, okay, that's to be expected, right? I'm putting up too much smoke. I'm a little bit of a wild card. Granted, according to them, when they reached out to me, this is another important thing, right? I don't seek out any partnerships with any company. I never have. They've always come to me, right? These guys go door to door like salesmen, right? Companies have told me that. Business owners have told me that. So I don't do that. Cordbag originally reached out to me, and they liked my personality. They thought it was a perfect fit for their new camera bag accessory company out of Sweden, right? They really liked my attitude, how honest I was. But when it really comes down to the nitty-gritty, as it turns out, they don't. Because they've since disappeared. They fell off the face of the earth. They don't even respond to my emails. But the funny thing is when I was recently looking at the Filmmaker Academy website, because someone brought it to my attention, I looked on there and saw Cordbag has ads on the Filmmaker Academy website. So, they're either paying this philanthropist, this self-proclaimed philanthropist, paying him money to have their ads on their website, or they're sponsoring the Filmmaker Academy and they're sponsoring Shane Hurlbut. There's some sort of mutual relationship there going on. And being me, someone that's been working in this industry, again, a member of SAG since 2010, you can't pull wool over my eyes, right? I've been in this shit long enough. And I look at that and I go, oh, well, that explains why Cordbag fell off the face of the earth, which, by the way, if any of you out there have used my link to buy Cordbag products in the past 6 months, or have used my discount code on the Cordbag website within the past 6 months, please reach out and let me know. Because I don't know how transparent they are with commissions and those types of things. I'm not accusing Cordbag of withholding money from me, but again, I don't know these things unless I, put the tip out there like, hey, by the way, yeah, it's been a while since I even got a commission check from these guys, right? And it was a monthly thing that was going on. So it is very possible that everyone just straight up stopped buying Cordbag products with my link. Very possible. Very possible. But it is weird that it kind of fell off around the same time this kind of sponsorship or whatever is going on with Hurlbut happened, right? This is how the industry works, right? I'm not complaining about any of this, by the way. Again, YouTube is a place made for entertainment and discord, right? That's literally what this whole thing is. And this is just commentary on my situation, right? This is to put it into context for all of you. The last thing I want to mention is something that people have consistently reached out to me about since this whole war started. People have really, other YouTubers, mind you, right? YouTubers, the YouTube, other YouTube creators that are smaller like mine, they really want certain things answered. And they know that I'm the kind of guy to be the dog about it, right? I will bark about it. Because again, I think it's important to differentiate between the types of camera YouTube channels that are out there, right? Some of them are doing these deals behind the scenes, and they are presenting review videos that aren't actually review videos. They're actually paid for ads, right? And not all of these people are 100% transparent about this, right? Hence, again, you should look at this thing called Crater. Craterr, I believe. It was literally a management team for content creators started by Mondo Bites and the CEO of Condor Blue, right? Condor Blue are deep into all of these sponsorship things as well too, right? I just want you all to be aware of the reality of what's going on and know that business owners have told me that a lot of these guys demand tens of thousands of dollars for these videos. Why do I care? Well, because there's another part of the camera YouTube universe of guys like me that don't go door to door looking out for deals to do. There are guys like me that find things on their own accord and have enough, I don't know what to call it, ambition maybe to call it. I don't know what to call it, but we have our own drive where money is not the source of that drive. Whereas we're inspired by the creativity of it all, right? And so we seek out things that have nothing to do with the company. For instance, my Sigma video, right? To this day, you okay, Mama? Gracie has asthma. Our little Devin Rex has asthma. I don't let this idea of money drive the types of videos that I want to make, right? In other words, the Sigma video. To this day, the #1 video on this channel has almost 400,000 views, right? That's pretty big for a little channel of mine that only has, right now, 45,000 subs, right? That was a big video for me, especially with such a broad niche of camera YouTube gear, right? It's a good thing. That video, however, I was accused of, doing deals with Sigma. None of that. Sigma didn't even know who I was when I put that video out. In fact, because of that video, then Sigma started contacting me. That's how I run my business, right? But I do think it's interesting to look at that video, my Sigma video, that has almost 400,000 views. Not even. It doesn't even have 400,000 views. But something important I want you to look at here is look at the engagement on that video, right? If we pull that up right now, so to this date of right now, it has 348,000 views. Now look at the like count, 10,000 likes, and look at the comment count, 1.3 thousand comments. Pretty decent ratio for a video that has that many views. So keep that in mind now. And now we'll go over and we'll look at Cam Mackey's his biggest video, which has 1 million views. So it went viral, right? This video went viral. It was the DJI 360 video. And, to give him his flowers, it's a beautiful video. I watched the first couple minutes of it. It looks great. Everything is, he's a talented guy, right? The problem is these guys think they can rely on their talent only. But the problem is they don't understand because they don't have the performer background, right? That someone like me does. They don't understand it takes way more than talent to run a channel. You need that thing called charisma. You need a personality. But the problem is a lot of these camera guys are fucking cardboard on camera, right? They just are. That's just the reality of it. Or they're like over the top, like Herbert, right? There's not a whole lot of genuineness coming out of these guys. So that's one of the reasons why they have to find a way to make these deals. And that's one of the reasons why they have to join Crater to pitch them to companies. They need a management team because that's the only way that they can actually be able to make a full-time living off of YouTube, right? Again, no hate against it. I think it's a great operation. If I wasn't, I was about to throw myself under the bus, but yeah, I'm a certain type of human being. But there's a way my brain is where I can't do that. I don't have the personal skills to do that, but also I don't have the ability to pretend to be something that I'm not. Whereas a lot of these guys, they do, but I'm not knocking it per se. I think it's a great way to have a business because you can get very wealthy from it. I'm not a wealthy man. I'm not a powerful man, but I am a free man, right? I care more about that than other things, but to each their own. But anyways, let's get back to what I'm talking about here. So this video has 1 million views, right? But the weird thing is the engagement is odd to me, right? 1 million views, but he only has 1,000 likes, and he only has 66 comments. He doesn't even have 100 comments. That's weird engagement. If you were a YouTuber, you would look at that and go, "That's weird." And what you may not know is that views are very easy to farm. Views are the easiest thing to purchase. You can buy views off Fiverr. You can. It's like you can get views anywhere. But what you can't buy is engagement. And so this is why other YouTubers have reached out to me that want me to talk about this, because it is interesting. Other YouTubers forced me to start paying attention to this stuff because you go, "Oh yeah, that's a weird ratio." And this is not a new video. It's been up for 2 months. And that's all it's garnered. And it's just like, it's interesting. It is an interesting thing to see the ratio there. All right, so real quick, here's another example because I know the Sigma video is a little old. This is an Instagram reel of mine that I created that does also have 1 million views. And you'll notice that even here, the engagement on this versus the engagement of Cam's 1 million view video. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Another thing I just have to point out is because, I know there's filmmakers watching this and they're going, "Yeah, but his viral video looks like shit." Well, it's because it gets the view count and the engagement because of the content that it is. It is a heart-touching story about a man that is no longer with us now, but this is during the time of the Altadena fires in Los Angeles. Okay, it's a It's an actual story. It's not a video about essentially, trying to get you to buy something made by a company called DJI. It's a real thing with real people. Oh, I don't know. Someone may dare to call it art. The one thing to notice too, there's this program you can get. Anybody can get it. It's called vidIQ, okay? And you'll notice over here on the right side of the screen is some numbers in a graph and stuff. So you'll see my video, my outlier video. See, when it's an outlier, it'll show you like it is outperforming all of my videos by over 100 times. It's just an insane outlier for a channel of my size, right? 348,000 views, right? You'll see that 348.9 thousand total views. You'll notice the engagement on it is 3%, which the normal average engagement usually is anywhere from 3 to 6%, right? Or at least that's what ChatGPT will tell you, right? 3 to 6% is like normal engagement that they would expect any video to have, right? And you'll notice like mine kind of grew immediately out the gate. Like it was just boom, it was just off to the races, right? So if we take that information, what we know about these graphs and everything, and then we look at Cam's video that has 1 million views, well, first you can notice how long it sat stagnant. Like it usually doesn't take the algorithm, how many days? It wasn't until like 35 days of being up that it finally started growing. But in his defense, the growth does look natural, right? This is a good natural growth, I think. Look, I'm not a fucking scientist on this. But what I do know is like things about algorithm. Again, I'm a YouTube guy, right? So I know like looking at this, I go, damn, it flatlined for over a month before it did anything. Whereas something like mine, when you have an outlier video like that, and his did extremely more better than mine did, he has over 1 million views. He has 1.1 million views. So the algorithm took that long for it to grow, whereas mine, which doesn't even, has like a quarter that his does in terms of views, and it just, you know what I mean? It's just a different performance, which could happen, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just, I'm a little, again, this is all out there for any of you to do. You can all download vidIQ and start analyzing fucking YouTube channels. But you're not going to do that if you're not a YouTuber, right? Us YouTubers, this is kind of what we do. It's part of the business, they say. But the biggest thing that I take note of is his engagement. His engagement is 0.1%. 0.1%. And this, for those of you who don't know, the engagement means those low view, the low like count and the low comment count, right? That's what I'm telling you. This is very low engagement for a video that has this many views. 0.1%? And remember I told you earlier, normal on average engagement is anywhere from 3 to 6%. That's normal, according to ChatGPT, right? This is just what YouTubers know. 3 to 6% is average engagement, normal engagement. No matter the amount of views. Your video could have 100 views, but if it's doing well, the engagement will be 3 to 6%. That's just the reality of YouTube. You could have a video that only has like 400 views, right? For instance, I'll show you my brand new channel, right? My brand new other channel, which I'm sure they'll all go to attacking, which is fine because we'll never have videos like this over there because it's not what that channel's about, right? Brand new channel, it only has 1.15 thousand subs. But if we look at my top video over there, which this is doing extremely well for a channel of that size, it only has 8,000 views. But you'll notice, look at the engagement on this. It only has 8.7 thousand views. But notice I have 3.9% engagement. And look at the growth of this one. Again, much like my Sigma video, immediately took off. These videos immediately take off when they're outliers on your channel. Again, this video did 22 times better than all my other videos on this new channel. It has only 8.7 thousand views, but it has 346 likes. It has 346 likes and 154 comments versus his 1 million view video that only has 1,000 likes and 66 comments, right? 66 comments. How do I get more comments on a video that has only 8,000 views? Well, it's because my engagement is real authentic engagement. It's 3.9%. That's average engagement. So I mean, view count engagement, it doesn't matter. Your engagement should always be good if you have good material, if you have good content, right? Deserving of the views. So how can his engagement be less than 0.5%? He doesn't even have 1%. He doesn't even have 0.5% of engagement for a video with 1 million views. Look, I'm not accusing the guy of anything. Again, I'm just showing you the reality of the situation. But it's just this thing of being like, this exists on the internet. It isn't like I fabricated this or something. This is what's going on, right? All of this stuff is what's going on. If people are upset by this, it's like, how are you so angry at my observation of reality? It's like, that's literally all I'm doing. I am observing things and I'm sharing my experience of those observations. That's what people lose their minds about over the whole YouTuber versus filmmaker thing. It's just like, okay, I guess. But, you know, the war that was started when Cam commented on my small rig video and what it has snowballed into now currently, it's kind of funny. And it's kind of like, wow, even more eye-opening when you really start peeling the curtain back. And you're like, holy shit, there's so much under here. There really is. You know, and all of the creator people have done videos with Shane Hurlbut. They're all connected, right? All of these people are connected. If I was to be petty, I would call them, it's almost like a grifter. I don't know if that's the right term, though. I'm bad with words. I don't know if that is the right word. But it's very shoe salesman-y. You know, it's just, there's a lot of weird shit going on behind the scenes. And I'll end with this, because the last time I did a video like this, Cam really lost his mind. And he said a lie about me, and it really bothers me. So I just want to set the record straight on this. He said that, oh, Justin went after brands that I work with and was telling lies about me, so to ruin those connections or whatever. That's a blatant lie. What happened is I sent Crater a direct message, but I didn't know that Cam was actually a client of Crater. I just assumed, because I knew that Mondo is one of the owners of Crater, and I knew that Cam and Mondo are buddies, I knew that's how I could connect, because Cam was running his mouth about me, and I had no way to contact him other than email. But he didn't give the courtesy to me to email me first, so why was I going to email him when he blocked me on Instagram, he blocked me on Threads? But on a daily basis, people were sending me screen grabs of all this crazy shit that he was like losing his mind on Threads. Most of you know this. But there was one comment he said that really bothered me, and that's why I reached out to Crater, because I knew that I could relay a message through Mondo, because that's literally what I said on the message. I said, your boy's got a big mouth for someone that blocked me everywhere online. That was literally what I said. So then for him to twist that into like, oh, he's telling lies about me and trying to ruin my brand deals. It's like, oh, so Crater is your management team then. You just told on yourself. You know, like, wow, dude, I didn't know you were one of the clients of Crater, but now I do. So now when I look at this DJI video with such low engagement that has 1 million views, I go, damn, did Crater set up that deal? I don't know. This is just stuff I'm pulling out of my ass. I don't know if it's real or not, but it does make you think, doesn't it? It makes you think about it. You know, again, man, you started all of this, bro. But my thing was, it's like, you know, he was, you know, saying things about me, where he was saying that, you know, saying like, oh, you know, I'm not a real man and all of this in his videos, where he was talking about me, you know, not specifically, but we knew who he was. Everyone knows who he's talking about. Even fucking Gerald Undone. I was having a conversation with Gerald about this, and Gerald is like, well, yeah, but you know, anyone could say that video was about me and Patrick and all of us. And it's like, bro, the video literally starts with Dog Shits Productions on the screen. It literally, the text says Dog Shit Productions. You can't, you're Gerald Undone, bro. You don't have the IQ to go, Dog Shit Productions? Dog Times Productions? You see what I mean? Like even that told me right then and there. I'm like, oh, Gerald's on the fence too. You know, like so much revealing, you know, like so much more will be revealed to you. You just got to keep digging, you know, but I don't want to dig, you know, these things get presented to me on a silver platter. I don't have to do any digging. All I have to do is have an Instagram account and people just send me stuff on the DM, right? So that's what I did to Crater. I said, your boy's got a big mouth. I do have to say too that I don't even have time to be making this video right now. I really don't. I have other bigger adventures that I've been on lately, but there's just been too much piling up, so we got to get this out. But, you know, one of the screen grabs that people sent me of stuff that he was saying on Threads, you know, he was saying something about pedo, calling someone pedo looking. And out of all the things or stuff that people could say about me, that is a little bit, look, I don't know if he was talking about me. You know, because again, like if you ask Gerald, he'd be like, well, he could be talking about me or Patrick or anybody else. It's like, okay, fine. Like, sure, I guess anybody could be called pedo looking. But it's also like, bro, you don't know my childhood. I mean, I don't, when I tell you I've been sober for 13 years, there's a reason why someone started drinking when they're 13 years old. You can start connecting the dots on your own. You can understand, like, my childhood was pretty rough, bro. Like I didn't grow up with a dad, like I had a certain kind of way that I grew up, which kind of defines who I am and why I am the way I am, And so certain things happened to me when I was a kid, to where that statement, it doesn't take you long to put two and two together, go, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't be calling him that, bro. Maybe he will fucking pop you in the nose if he fucking sees you walking around, bro. You know what I mean? So that's what I was letting Crater know. I said, bro, you better tell your boy to watch his mouth. He's got a big, this is exactly what I told him. I said, your boy Cam Mackey's got a big mouth for someone that blocked me online, And I let him know it had to do with that comment specifically. And then so Cam turned that around and was like, but then I found out that, he's, certain things might have happened to him. So I thought, oh, he's a little crazy. I better back off. And it's like, wow, to even minimize something like that tells you a lot about that individual. You know what I'm saying? And so because of all of the, like, these guys all run in the same pack. They all run in the same circle, bro. Mondo's at the fucking Sony condo, fucking bringing up shit that I talked about 8-10 months ago, inserting himself into a conversation that he doesn't even have anything to do with. All of these people have formed an alliance, right? So I say to that, awesome, great. Now what needs to happen is the audience will need to divide, right? That's how I feel anyways. That's how I feel about it. And people may look at that and go, oh, you're turning it into like gangs. Now it's like a gang thing, or it's like, well, yeah. Why is that bad? They're treating it like a gang. They're treating it like a mafia because money's involved even, They got potentially either my behavior or their influence got one of my sponsorships to disappear, got them to not even respond to an email. I can put two and two together. I'm not a fucking moron. So if they're allowed to operate like a mafioso, if they're allowed to operate like a gang, then why can't I? Right? Doesn't that make sense? It's just like this kind of thing. Like, and again, I'm not saying that I am going to make a gang, but we're having a discourse about it. This is how this thing works. When you have a personality and you have charisma, this is how you do a channel, a commentary thing. You have a conversation with your audience. You don't fucking sit there and try to sell them something, but really disguising this sale as like, check out this cool new thing. Look at this cool thing we did. You don't have to know that we got $20,000 to make this video. Well, yeah, if you motherfuckers were giving me $20,000, I'd have an amazing fucking video about the Nikon ZR. But no one approached me about the Nikon other than some person, shout out to Blake, the viewer of my channel, a real audience member, reached out to me and said, bro, I got the ZR. Let's go shoot with it. That's how I operate. I don't go, oh yeah, but you go, oh Blake, you're going to give me $10,000 plus that camera, bro. What the fuck are we talking about? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. This is the information I present to you. You guys know now. I think most of you have. My core audience has always known where I stand on it. And that's why my live streams have really become a bit of a roasting thing. And we've been having a lot of fun with that. But it's one of the reasons why I don't really do a whole lot of main long form videos here anymore, because I just don't care and I don't want to be associated with those types of YouTubers anymore. So I have begun a whole new endeavor. I have a whole nother YouTube channel that I have grown from the ground up, not buying views, not accusing anybody of doing that, but it's completely organic and it's completely outside of filmmaking. You know what I'm saying? And I had to do that to start a new venture. But I also wanted to do it as a way to prove to myself that you can be a full-time YouTuber without selling shit, right? So the only way, the type of human being that I am, I go, okay, Justin, so now you have to prove that, right? So that's what I'm doing with my other channel. It's not about gear at all. You know what I mean? Because there are plenty of huge YouTubers out. Take Casey Neistat, for instance. Now, it could be argued that he's a great filmmaker. It could be argued that he's one of the greatest documentarians of all time. I wouldn't actually debate against those things. But the real reason Casey Neistat is so huge is because of his charisma, his personality. That's how he is a full-time YouTuber. And all the deals, brand deals come after that, right? But again, if you don't know about the art of performing, or you don't know about the art of being authentically yourself, or you don't have the courage to be yourself, you get stuck in this thing where you're like, I'm in this niche of camera gear. The only way I can make a living is I gotta keep pushing the gear. That's fine. I'm not knocking that. I just want people to know the reality of what goes behind that, and the fact that I'm not part of that. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Oh, my hip, bro. All that skateboarding I've been doing is killing my hip. Oh, shit, dude. I should add, this is all just my opinions. This is all my opinions and observations and my own truth, right? I'm not accusing anybody of anything. This place is a place of commentary and discourse. A federal judge has already thrown out YouTube lawsuits because of this BS that there's this bullying thing going on. But it would just be a counter argument if someone did try to sue me, because the reality is these guys bully me. They form a huge alliance. These guys all have huge numbers. If anybody's getting bullied, it's me. So I should be allowed to defend myself on my own platform. If you're against that, or you have a problem with that, well, I think that's very telling about the type of person you are and where you stand on the whole fence.